Gold's like at $5,000. It's gone through the roof after the Trump tariffs, which is a whole different thing that we'll have to talk about. But the bottom line is the solution for inflation in the USA has become just buy gold. And that's a really bad retirement plan. It feels like America's waking up after 2 or 3 decades of no inflation whatsoever to realize that it can be a problem. And I think people are looking around for the first time since the 70s and saying, hey, inflation can actually come on really, really fast, can affect me very, very deeply, can really change my net spendable income, what I can afford, and can really change my whole retirement plan around if I'm not prepared for inflation. Now, the main way people prepare for inflation, or what's been traditional wisdom, has always been just buy gold. And the truth is, I think gold is a perfectly good inflation. If you buy gold, it'll be worth effectively what you paid for it in 20, 30, 40 years. However, and this is the big however that I'm trying to get the message out, gold never pays you a dime in the interim, right? As far as a retirement asset, as far as an asset that pays you money that you can spend on golf green fees or eggs or milk or gasoline, as far as something that actually pays money as you go, gold's a terrible retirement asset. It's a fine inflation hedge. But rental real estate is an incredible inflation protection asset and an incredible retirement asset. And I think when you look at them side by side, you'll realize that rental real estate just stomps all over gold in every metric that really matters. Rental real estate just stomps all over gold when it comes to actually hedging against inflation while still having a retirement asset that you can use instead of just having a box of gold under your bed. Now, the reason that I have a strong opinion about inflation is that it will probably have a larger effect on your retirement than any other single issue. Like, besides medical costs, which are tied directly to inflation, I can't think of something off the top of my head that'll have a more direct impact on people's retirement and actually how much net spendable income they have to deal with than inflation will. And that's because it affects every single expense category. It affects your health care. It affects your long-term care. It affects your food. It affects your housing. It affects every single underlying expense category in your life is directly affected by inflation. Now, the reason that I'm passionate about this is because I was lucky enough to spend from 2001 to 2003 on a church mission in a place called Maracaibo, Venezuela. When I got to Venezuela, the bolivar, their currency, was trading for about 800 bolivars per dollar. And I didn't know better. I was a 19-year-old kid. It was my first time spending another currency at all. And you always have a little bit of a shock when you spend someone else's currency. And I remember, their currency looked totally different than mine. But more than that, I was spending 1,000 bolivar notes. And the first couple of days, it really took me by surprise because I was just like, wow, I'm spending these $1,000 bills, not realizing that it works differently in other countries, right? And so I would buy almost every single day what they call pan francais, which is French bread, these little breads over in the corner. And that was one of the things that in Venezuela, my gringo stomach could handle, right? So I bought pan francais every single day for a year. And with that being the case, I was spending 1,000 bolivar note for those 2 years I was in Venezuela. Except while I was in Venezuela, Hugo Chavez had just been elected. And if you follow Venezuela at all, it saw a spike in inflation from 2001 to 2003 when I was there. And so while I was in Venezuela, living as a 19-year-old, they saw a spike of inflation. And when I got there, the bolivar was trading at about 800 to the dollar. And when I left, it was about 3,800 to the dollar. And so the value of the bolivar had dropped by about 66%, depending on how you look at it. Now, there was a black market trading for dollars, and the government was suppressing the actual bolivar value because the government hates admitting that their currency is going to garbage. But when I left, that same pan francais, that same French bread, I was very regularly spending a 5,000 bolivar note. When I got there, I was spending 1,000 bolivar note. And so that really affects a certain class of people. Like inflation hurts everyone. Inflation hurts the working man. what I want to help you all understand is that it cripples retirees, right? Because everyone just goes about their lives. And we've seen inflation now from 2017 to 2025 for the first time in, a lot of people's adult lives, or certainly in the amount of adult life that people remember. And what we've all seen is that it hurts really, really bad in the beginning. And then all the prices kind of tick up to follow it. Eventually, salaries are adjusted upwards. What doesn't adjust upwards are fixed income products. Fixed income products really don't adjust. And different pieces of the economy adjust differently. For example, here's a chart from back to 1998, the different things that have inflated in price, right? And so we're going to come back to this chart in a little bit, but what you can see is, medical has really gone through the roof. Medical care services have gone through the roof. Food and beverage have gone up substantially. And then the things that you really don't buy every day, like, okay, laptops are a lot cheaper than they used to be, but I don't buy a laptop every day. TVs are a lot cheaper than they used to be. I don't buy a TV every day. I don't buy a cell phone every day. I don't buy a new car every day. The things that really have inflated with price are really those things that we buy a lot. And even more than that, they're the things that affect retirees, specifically health care, retirement care, assisted living care. All of those things are really, really going up in value far faster than inflation. And so that can affect retirees even more. Hey, my money's worth less, and the things that I'm buying are actually outpacing inflation very, very substantially. And so it injures working people. Everyone feels the effects of inflation. It really cripples people. That conversation was about an hour and 15 minutes. If you want to see the whole conversation and really get into the nuance, here's the link.